Thank you for joining us. We're excited to share this webinar with you all. Just if you guys are brand new to PCS learning about our products, I invite you all to subscribe so that you can receive notifications of future webinars that we're going to have and other opportunities such as giveaways and offers and so much more. So all you have to do is go to adventures.com/subscribe, and then once you subscribe, you'll end up in our hub page where you'll find all kinds of free resources. So if you're not a subscriber, I invite you all to subscribe. So today we're going to talk about multimedia enrichment, how to amplify student voices with the use of Influencer Camp and Discover Podcasting, two of our newer and very exciting programs that several of the teachers who have implemented the program just have a lot of rave reviews because of the influence on students to just, come out of their shells, usually very shy students, just kind of want to, not be in the spotlight. Well, there are some really unique tools in these programs that, kind of change all that. They want to be in the spotlight. So I'm so excited to be sharing this with you guys. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. So we're going to start off with welcome and introductions. So welcome, everybody. My name is Cynthia Hernandez. I'm the Director of Marketing here at PCS Edventures. I will be shortly introducing our presenter, who will be talking about Discover Podcasting, becoming an influencer, and then we'll go into wrap up session and any questions that you all may have. Please type them in your chat. And then we're going to close this off with a giveaway. So today we're giving away two awesome starter kits, one for Discover Podcasting and one for Influencer Camp. So, all right. So our presenter today is Beth Chad. Beth has been working with PCS Edventures for quite some time. She is responsible for the production of several of our most popular camps. There's World of Wonders, which is a brand new one, which just launched this year, Pirate Camp, Steam Ventures, Unleash Your Wild Side, Survivor, and many other topics.
So yeah, Cynthia gave a great introduction of me. I've been here for over 10 years. Creating lots of different titles, and became a full-time employee about 3 years ago. But PCS as a company as a whole, we've been around for over 30 years. We started as Pat's Computer School, hence the PCS. And we have grown from a small office in downtown Boise to a much bigger office, and we span not only nationwide, but also worldwide. And we really have a passion for empowering both educators and students to do play-based, hands-on STEAM lessons and curriculum kits. And here are some of our partnerships. So again, across the nation, from Idaho to Nevada, we have partnered with the JROTC. We're in Iowa. So we really try to get on these STEM or STEAM lists to bring credential to ourselves and up our own game. So we're very proud of all of these partnerships. So we will get started. And this is kind of one of my favorite ways to start this presentation is with this slide. Brings me back to the Taylor Swift. One of her lyrics has to do with the typewriter. But right, everyone has a story, including our kids, and their journeys have been just profound over the last few years. But the real question is, who's listening? I know as educators, we all have so much going on in our lives and in our students' lives that sometimes we fail to give them the opportunity to express themselves the way they feel most comfortable. So Discover Podcasting and Influencer Camp is a great way to really let students share their stories, their voices in their own way. And again, these are the two camps we're going to cover. They're both grades 6 through 12, although we have had some instructors go down to as low as 4th grade. And if you have any questions about that, you can stay on afterwards and ask, or contact any of our salespeople, and they'll help you navigate that. So as you all know, kids, teenagers spend a lot of time on social media. 4 hours, 5 hours. YouTube and TikTok are the most popular platforms. I'd also like to point out, this is not just teens and kids. Adults, you and I are probably spending close to the same on social media as well. So we need to remember that it's not just kids that are on these platforms. The adults, we're doing the same thing that we're telling the kids not to do. So let's teach them how to do it correctly. So I want you to think back to when you were younger and what you thought you wanted to be when you grew up. And just quickly type it in the chat. I wanted to be a zoologist. I wanted to work with animals. A veterinarian, pilot. I love it. Oh, Chloe, really? Learn something new about a coworker every day. We have a firefighter, veterinarian, chef, pilot. Yeah, so these are all, well, and before I go further, did anyone actually become any one of these things? Yeah, sort of. Oh, I love it. We got a sort of a chef. Perfect. I'm definitely not a chef in any sense of the term. A culinary school, that's awesome. So also I want you to reflect on those childhood dreams that you had and who are your role models? Back in my day, if you wanted to be a doctor, you had maybe Doogie Howser, you had MASH, you had St. Elsewhere. Can you recall anyone from your childhood that was a role model of your own age? And I'm gonna bet probably not. They just didn't exist, right? We had maybe 3 or 4 channels on TV to watch. Kids wanted to be astronauts or professional athletes, but you didn't have anyone your own age to look up to. But things have changed a lot in the last few decades and changing very quickly, almost by the day. And so Discover Podcasting and Influencer Camp is really going to help our kids discover maybe what they want to be when they grow up, and also have some of those role models that are their own ages to look up to. So we'll discover podcasting. So I know we all watch or listen to podcasts. Podcasts have definitely evolved over the years from just purely audio to now audio and visual. Does anyone have any favorite podcasts or topics that you seek out? I actually listen to news podcasts when I go to sleep. I don't know why, but it helps me sleep for some reason. Oh, a tech podcast. Anyone else have any favorite podcasts we should tune into? I'm always looking for new ones. Well, I'm pretty confident that all of us do listen to some type of podcast. NPR, All Things Considered. Yes, absolutely. But by 2026, podcast listeners are supposed to reach 619 million. So that is a huge number. That far exceeds many other mediums out there, media in terms of TV or radio. So really the potential for our kids to learn these skills, now is the time. So podcasting, when we sit down and really go through the camp, it gives students this voice and choice. They get to have their story told the way they want it. It's also a really great way to integrate multiple subjects at once. You can have assignments. And so instead of standing up and doing a book report, you could do a podcast on it. It's a great way for kids and adults, as I've learned, some digital literacy. I am tech challenged often, but I can figure out the platforms that we are using for both podcasting and influencer. And it's always project-based. And as we probably know as adults, maybe our students don't know, but both podcasting and influencers, right, it takes a community. So you can't do this on your own. You need a team to help you out. And it's a great way to explore lots of different types of careers. Yes, our students or even ourselves may have an idea of what you want to talk about on a podcast, but you need more than that. And the great thing about Discover Podcasting Camp is we include all of the professional equipment that is required. So microphones, isolation shields, headphones, they get a nice little podcaster pad. And then we do use Soundtrap, and you get a 50-seat license for that. So you can see everything in the picture. The first one takes, I don't know, about 5 to 8 minutes to learn how to set up the first set. And then after that, it goes really fast. And your kids can figure it out probably faster than you or I. So if you've never been on Soundtrap, it is a really great platform. So it's cloud-based. You can edit audio, you can record on it, you can collaborate in real time, and it has all of those professional tools that podcasters use to record, to edit, to mix, to add sound. And it's very easy to learn. Like I said, I'm tech challenged, but I have been able to figure out Soundtrap. And it also has built-in music and sound effects that are kid appropriate. So you can go to other websites and find other sound effects or music, but they may not meet parental or student or parental or school guidelines. And this is really what a lot of professional podcasters use, is Soundtrap. Another great thing about Soundtrap is there's tutorials built in. So if you're ever like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I don't get it, there are tutorials left and right that will help you out. And then you can also scan this QR code for a free lesson plan, and also access to Soundtrap. So for the curriculum topics, right, it's not just go create a podcast. We really want students to explore what it takes from the beginning of what a podcast is, the different formats. This is true journalism. They're learning how to tell a story, learning how to interview, learning how to bring in sound and music, and how to pitch a story, how to do a storyboard. So it's everything that a professional podcaster actually does. So they get to do that in your classroom and working together. And the very last lesson is a podcasting showcase. And the other great thing about both podcasting and Influencer Camp is they get to really explore different careers. Like I said, it is almost impossible to create a podcast or really anything on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, by yourself. It takes a whole team. And so kids actually take turns in these different roles, being a producer, an editor. So everyone gets a chance to figure out really what their niche is, what they're comfortable with, and maybe something that they didn't think they'd like to do. All of a sudden they're like, oh, wow, I never knew I was such a great voice actor. And they really get to put those skills in front of everyone and be proud of themselves. So we didn't just make all this stuff up on our own. We definitely collaborated with experts in the field. And one of the people that we collaborated with was Mark Sanchez from NPR. And at the time, and still to date, he is one of the few journalists out there that creates podcasts for kids. So he has some great podcasts. These are just 3. I think he has at least 6 out there right now. So very kid appropriate. You don't have to worry about what the kids may hear or stories that may be inappropriate. So he's a great resource. And we also worked with a teacher from Manhattan named Karen Patterson. And this is her group of kids. So this is the Dragon Kids. They are Chinese Americans, and they've really showcased their culture. So a lot of these are, their parents are immigrants, so they're first generation, and they're sharing their culture. They're also sharing words. So they're teaching the listeners different Mandarin words. And I've seen this across a lot of schools. There's Native American podcasting clubs, just keeping their languages alive. So you can just imagine what your own kids could be doing in their own podcasting club. We also provide a ton of supporting videos. So not only can you go into Soundtrap and learn how to use it with the videos, We've also included other videos by professionals. The top one, Podcast Crash with Justin. He's one of my favorite tutors in this space. I watch him and I learn pretty quickly on what I'm supposed to be doing. So we do provide extra videos to watch that you can watch as the instructor, and you can also share with your students. So this is one of our lessons, day 2. It's called Once Upon a Podcast, where the kids learn how to tell a story. And this is what's called story slamming. And if you've ever listened to NPR, The Moth, or probably some other podcasts, people get up on stage, live, no script, and tell a 3 to 5 minute story. And if you're really good, The Moth actually invites you back and gives you some pointers, gives you some classes, and there's a true challenge and like a championship at the end of all this. But we've taken what NPR, The Moth, does for their Story Slam and incorporated it into our curriculum. And it's very similar to a 5-paragraph outline where you start with the intro, you get the hook, and as you go on through the 5 different points, things change. And at the end, right, something hopefully has really changed, and the world that you started with is maybe a little different now, or at least you're different. And so the kids practice this. And we also, when we go out to conferences, we have adults stand up and practice this. And let me tell you, the stories are profound. I have been in tears from laughing, and I've been in tears just because it's been so moving. It's a great way just to tell your story. And so to hook the audience, right, just like a 5-paragraph essay, what's that hook? We teach the kids at least 4 different ways to hook the audience. You can create a mystery, paint a picture, ask a question. And I think some of our kids might be a little aghast at TikTok and Facebook didn't exist. How would your life be different? They've never known life without these things. So that's a really great hook and a surprising fact. So I'm going to challenge everyone to do a really quick hook for this picture. If you were to tell a story, if you were to stand up and do a quick story slam or a podcast, what would your introductory sentence or 2 be with this picture? I'm going to type mine in. So if I were to do this, this reminds me of the TV show Frasier. And just to turn it on its head, really, it's not Frasier who is the therapist, but it was the dog. So not only can the kids create these awesome podcasts, there's also challenges available for them. So NPR has 2 different challenges, one for grades, well, actually 3, well, a number of challenges for different grades. So grade 4, grade 5 through 8, grade 9 through 12. And this one ends on May 2nd. And then there's also, they've created a new one for college level kids, college level grads. So whether they're associate's degree, bachelor's degree, or recent grads, they can enter this contest as well. And the New York Times also has one for middle school and high school. And usually what happens is there's semifinalists, finalists chosen, and the winners receive money and a trip to somewhere, which is really awesome. So they get to really refine their skills and submit their podcast and have the potential to win something really exciting. So this is one of my favorite. I don't think they even won. This was a finalist, and this is from City High Radio out of Arizona. And they're high school students that have started their own podcasting club. And this was one of the most simple podcasts I've listened to, but also one of the most moving. And so this student, Alex, interviewed people and asked what the most beautiful sound was, and then included all these sound effects. And again, it made me laugh, it made me cry. So the potential for what our students can do with podcasts, you could go on and on with what they could do with these. So not only can they enter those contests, but we also have had a lot of organizations that have used Discover Podcasting, where they've created a podcasting club for news or creative content. It's a great for homework or class presentations. For me, I hate standing up in front of people and talking. So if I could sit behind a microphone without being seen, this would probably be a better way for me to present a report. It's also a great way to interview different community members or experts, debates, book reviews. And we've also had listening parties where the students and the parents and the teachers, they bring in quiet snacks and they listen to these podcasts and have a really fun time. And this picture on the right with the sweatshirt, one school used their podcasting club to argue the ban of hooded sweatshirts. Right, actually, I have a hoodie on right now. I could not live without hoodies. And so this was their way, instead of protesting and complaining, and they took it to the microphone and interviewed staff members, the principal, different students, in hopes to get this overturned. So we're going to move on to influencer camp. And definitely podcasters are a type of influencer. We've just kind of broken it up to podcasting is more in front of a microphone, no camera. Influencer camp has that camera. So I'm going to guess, I hope you all consider yourselves an influencer. You're working with kids every day. You are influencing their lives for the better. So you yourselves are an influencer. And so you're able to generate interest in something. And a lot of times when we're talking about influencers, it's for monetary gain. And I want to say right off the bat that influencer camp does not include uploading anything onto any social media platforms. It is for you and your students alone. You can share it with parents, you can share it with staff, and you can decide as a whole if you want to upload any of this, but nothing is uploaded to social media. And so we cover two types of influencers. And right, the first one I think can make all of us cringe a little bit, that celebrity or mega influencer. And I don't even want to say some of those names, but they have millions of followers and they're making a pretty good salary off of their influencing campaigns. And what we're really focusing on are these micro influencers. So you and I, much smaller audience and really specific interests. We're finding our own little niche in there and trying to influence on a much smaller basis. We don't have to be the Kardashians or I don't know who else. But our kids can influence for the better. Does anyone have an influencer that you or your students follow besides hopefully the Kardashians? Linus Tech Tips. Oh, it's amazing. I have gone on and looked at kid influencers, and these kids are so fun and so just real. And so, we've been telling our kids, don't be an influencer. That's, you can't do that. And how awful, if you think back of when you wanted to be a chef or veterinarian, if your parents would have said, oh, I'm sorry, like you can't do that because, I don't know, X, Y, or Z. But our kids can be influencers, and we should hopefully encourage them to follow their passion, even if it's something they don't end up with in their career. So these are different types of influencers followed by teens. So really it makes a lot of sense. Music, and I'm pretty sure during Taylor Swift's Era Tour, this shot up for music, but music and gaming are for teens are the most popular, and it goes really across the spectrum. So it really gives our kids an opportunity to showcase their own passions and their own interests in something that they're already following and already doing. They're already on their phones, creating small videos, they're taking pictures. They were born into this as opposed to me, who is not. So this is something that they catch on to really, really quickly. So like I said, our kids have never known a world without YouTube or other social media platforms. And over 50% say they'd want to be an influencer if the opportunity presented itself, which is amazing, right? So I had chef, I had veterinarian. At probably no point in history up until now did someone say, 50% of kids say, I want to be this when I grow up. And with that, it is a multi-billion-dollar business. So $21 billion. So if our kids know how to be influencers and know this media and digital literacy, they are on the right track. They may not end up in that career, but those skills that they gain, those soft skills, how to work as a team, how to edit, how to interview, you can't really learn that after you can, but that's not something that you necessarily learn in college, right? When you go into a job, those employers want you to have those skills already. And so just by teaching them how to be podcasters and influencers, they are gaining those soft skills already. And so we focus on the traits that are important to these micro influencers, right? Because they're really looking to build that one-on-one connection with someone. And so we have 3 traits that we focus on in influencer camp, right? We're not out to make money. We're not out to necessarily change the world immediately, but we are trying to teach our kids how to be authentic, to be honest, and to be relatable. And this is coming from the experts in the field. This is what makes a good influencer, especially a good micro influencer. And as soon as you take one of those away, as soon as you stop being honest, or you promote Coke and you're seen drinking Pepsi, right? It kind of almost immediately cancels you. So we're teaching the kids really how to be themselves and showcase that in the best way possible and to be safe online. So again, why teach our kids how to be influencers? One of the things I really like is you really get to connect with your students, right? You're on their terms now. This is what they understand. This is what they enjoy doing. And you can learn a lot just by watching them producing these videos. So they do get cameras, they get professional equipment, just like in podcasting. And just walking around the room, you get to see their personality shine, and also maybe some intimate things, some details that maybe you didn't know about their lives. You can connect to them on a more one-on-one basis. They also get to become their own role models. Like I said, we prioritize online safety and responsibility and positivity. And we know one of the reasons we don't want our kids to be out there on social media or to be influencers because there's a lot of negativity, but we are promoting just the opposite. And again, it takes a whole team to produce an influencer video, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or wherever kids are on nowadays. And it's also a great way, again, to promote that cultural awareness, social emotional learning, and some of those soft skills that employers are looking for. To be an influencer, right, most of our kids have cameras, and you can do videos and pictures on your phones, but it's not the best quality. So we do send professional type equipment, including the cameras. They're called queso, which are very similar to GoPros, tripods that extend. They get production guides. And then the one thing that you do need is a computer or tablet. So pretty much this is all you need to be an influencer. And so for podcasting, we used Soundtrap, but for influencer, we use Canva. And I have played around with Canva, and it is super easy and super fun, and they are updating it all the time. And I actually have a typo there. So it should be why Canva for influencer. The other great thing about Canva is if you're trying to edit, or like, how do I add a background? How do I add music? Can you suggest something? There's a nice little question mark at the bottom of the screen. and you just type in your question and it tells you exactly what to do. So it's AI generated. Canva is free. If you are with a school, you can get Canva for education. So that's an upgrade. And you get a few more options in Canva for education. And so just like podcasting, we really kind of start at the beginning. What is an influencer, the different types of influencers? We make sure that they're safe online in terms of their own safety, but also in terms of copyright laws. So they're not breaking any laws. They're following the rules, the different types of genres, again, how to write scripts and storyboards, the special effects. So these pictures are from an influencer camp. So you can see the kids holding up their storyboard and their scripts. One kid is talking in a microphone, one is videoing, and the kids at the bottom are actually editing their videos. And I'm sure you've all seen or heard about the ALS challenge years ago, right? That was a huge social change movement. Our kids have that potential to do the same thing. Maybe not on that big scale right away, but any positive change is a good change. And we're really encouraging our kids to be positive role models for each other and for anyone that they share their influencing videos with. And so just like podcasting, there's different roles that the kids get to take on to see what suits them best, what they're most comfortable in, maybe what they didn't know they'd be good at. And so there's three: their equipment operator with the camera, someone's the performer, so someone is in front of the camera, and then we have the content coordinator, so the person that's keeping everyone on track, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. And then we do introduce them to brands. So we want them to think about really who they are and what they want to project. And so for any influencer, right, you are your brand. Just like I said, if you're promoting Coke and you're caught drinking Pepsi, you're canceled pretty quickly. So you really want to stick to what is relatable, honest, and authentic. And this is really important because 80% of global brands are using influencer marketing. So if our kids understand how to tell a story digitally and how to be safe, authentic, relatable, honest, right? The world is their oyster at this point. So they can really do anything they want with their lives because they know how to influence people. And so we go through this brand identification challenge, right? We all have our brands, so we have our kids and our adults try to identify all these different brands, and these are pretty easy. We have Nike, McDonald's, Apple, MasterCard, Starbucks, Target, and was this Audi or BMW? Mercedes. See, I failed that one. And so we also have our kids introduce themselves to help them figure out what their personal brand would be. And so for an example is, I'm a good soccer player and I love playing on a team. And from there, they go on to produce videos that are somewhat related to their brand. And does anyone want to share what their brand would be or how they would introduce themselves as an influencer? Or if you were a chef or a veterinarian or a firefighter. I love the outdoors and watching wildlife. So that's kind of my brand. So I'm always out for taking people for a hike and showing them different birds and different types of flowers and plants, and then also learning from them at the same time. So we asked at one of our conferences, a teenager to produce an influencer video for us. And that's pretty much all we said. Okay.
You may think you know influencing, but do you really? Influencing is so much more than just people doing TikTok dances. You can use many platforms to get your word out there or support a cause that you really care about. Part of why there are so many influencers is that it can be really fun to do. If you don't feel comfortable with using your face while influencing, there are plenty of faceless video topics you can do. What really matters is that you have fun with it. Does mean you enjoy. If you're pretty funny, try a comedy channel. Like artist, make a music video and post it. Influencers can also do things professionally, like promoting a brand. But influencing can be a lot of hard work. You might end up with a lot of mistakes in your videos or bloopers. Check these out. Some influence in promoting. Promoting. Some influencers like to we're redoing that one. Influencing. Videoing can be a great way to influence people. Have fun with it.
So she pretty much sums up influencer camp and what it means to be an influencer. And I love this video because she included the bloopers and just how hard it is to be an influencer or a podcaster. You don't just go online, go on a camera, go on a recording device and press record and then post it. There's a lot of work that's involved in it. And going back to what we wanted to be when we grew up, I get a lot of times, and I remember a lot of the kids I went to school with, right? You wanted to be an astronaut. But if you think back of all the kids that maybe wanted to be astronauts, as of today, only 682 people have reached the altitude of space. And now think of the potential for the influencer where billions of people are listening to podcasts, or it's a multi-billion-dollar industry for influencers, right? This is something that our kids can do. And we should really, instead of saying, no, you can't, and that is ridiculous, and rolling our eyes like I think I did when I first thought about these camps, we want to tell them, yes, you can. You can do this. You should do this. Here's safe, responsible ways to do it. And if you don't become a big celebrity influencer or podcaster, that's okay, because those skills that you have gained are going to lead you in life and help you get the career that you want as you get older. So again, instead of no, you can't, we want to say, yes, you can. Cynthia, do you have anything you'd like to add? Or Chloe from our sales department?
This was great, Beth. Thank you very much. I grew up in a time where influencer and podcasting was definitely not a thing. So, all of these tools and, the curriculum and the way it's laid out and the topics that it walks through the students through, I think is pretty amazing. What I love the most is that, they practice safety, that's incorporated within the curriculum. And I like that students get to play different roles, because that, is very true, that they may not know what they're really good at until they, jump into that role and start, learning the techniques and the processes. And some kids do discover, wow, I'm really good at this. So I love it. This is fascinating. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for the webinar. I hope you got some great insights. You are absolutely invited to reach out to our STEM program specialist. If you have any further questions, or you want to find out, which program best fits your learning environment, they are very well versed in all of our products. So please feel free to either give us a call at 1-800-429-3110 or shoot us an email at sales@edventures.com. And if you're not currently a subscriber, to receive notifications for future webinars, giveaway promotions and offers, go to adventures.com/subscribe. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great evening. Thanks a lot for joining us.